Chapter 131. Your only good point is that you're lucky. Lin Che stared at him and watched him talk. Okay, I get it. He organized what he organized. This man could be so full of excuses when he needed to come up with reasons. However, Lin Che did not probe further. The next day, everyone was preparing to go back. Mu Wanqing could not bear to part with Lin Che, saying that they were always too busy despite being so close to each other. She asked Lin Che to visit their home often, to which she gave her word. Mu Wanqing boarded the plane back first. Lin Che and Gu Jingze followed after. On the plane, Lin Che kept looking at her beach photos. Gu Jingze said, "They all look nice, you don't need to choose." Lin Che replied, "Well, my complexion is good, so any photo is good." That was true. Lin Che did not look bad in the first place. However, Gu Jingze continued looking at her and said, "You are the one getting more narcissistic." Lin Che looked at Gu Jingze. "Well, what do you expect? You see, I was able to find such a good husband like you. This proves that I'm not bad myself." Gu Jingze heard and his eyes moved. He could not rebut against her. "You're not wrong to say that." He continued, "This might be your only good point. Huh. You have good luck and that's why you met me. Get lost." Soon, they were home. Lin Che played the news and saw that the reality show she participated in was still airing. There were plenty of comments about her cute ditzy self. There was even the photo of her with no makeup on, fully exposed in front of everyone. But almost everyone liked her. However, there were some sour grapes who said that she had plastic surgery and there was nothing nice to look at. Her nose was obviously fake. Lin Che thought depressingly, these people were really sour. Even if she really lost her integrity and truly wanted to see if plastic surgery could turn her luck around, she did not have any money at that time. They thought it was so easy to get plastic surgery. Those faces cost a lot too. Qin Wanwan asked her out for a meal that night. Lin Che thought nothing of it. Going out with Qin Wanwan could help expand her own circle since she entered the industry late. Her circle was too small and she only knew a few people. She was really not giving herself a good future. Furthermore, she thought Qin Wanwan was a rather good person. Lin Che could hopefully learn a few things from her. So at night, Lin Che headed to the club. This time, it was a private room and she saw many people from the circle. Qin Wanwan sat on the bar counter and told Lin Che, "There won't be any reporters coming in here so you can relax. Also, many people from the circle are here to have fun. You will gradually be able to know more people." In the middle, there were indeed many seniors. Many of them came to say hi to Qin Wanwan. Lin Che looked at Qin Wanwan enviously. "You are too good. I really don't know anybody here. This area is my shortcoming." Sigh. "I was introverted at the start too, but I slowly got better afterward." "It's alright, I will teach you slowly." Qin Wanwan patted Lin Che's shoulder as she talked. Just then, someone called from behind, "Lin Che. Why are you here?" Lin Che followed the sound and turned around to see Gu Jingze walking over. Lin Che was also surprised. "Why are you here? Seriously, I feel like you're such a shadow. I keep bumping into you." Gu Jingze sat down and looked at Lin Che, saying, "I come here once in a while. If you're able to meet me, it means that we were meant to. What are you so surprised for? Who wants to be destined to be with you? Seriously." Crossing paths because of fate meant getting onto a headline with him and then getting scolded by his fans. Lin Che had indeed suffered. Gu Jingze asked, "How did you know of this place?" Lin Che suddenly remembered and turned to introduce the person who invited her. "This is Qin Wanwan." Gu Jingze looked at the girl beside her and simply smiled. "Oh, hello." Qin Wanwan immediately said, "Gu Jingze, I'm a huge fan of yours. I've already seen many of your movies and TV shows, and I'm not sure if you've heard, but we might soon have a show together." Gu Jingze smiled. "Oh, really? Anything work-related is all handled by the company, so I'm not too sure myself." Qin Wanwan smiled and said, "I hope to work well with you then." Qin Wanwan was very enthusiastic. She called for some drinks and said it was her treat. Gu Jingze said a simple sentence and then whispered to Lin Che, "Aren't you going home? I'll take you home." Lin Che saw that it was getting late, so she turned to Qin Wanwan and said, "I'm going back first." Qin Wanwan looked at Gu Jingze and said sadly, "You guys are such party poopers. Never mind, Let's get together again next time. Okay. Qin Wanwan got up and sent the two of them out. When Gu Jingze went to take the car, she patted Lin Che's shoulder and said, "Looks like you really have a good relationship with Gu Jingze." Lin Che said, "I guess so." Qin Wanwan said, "Gu Jingze is usually very cold. For him to become friends with someone is a rarity. You see, he didn't even bother about me." Lin Che smiled bitterly, "He is a little weird. It'll be fine once you get familiar with him. Aren't you going to film together? By the time you finish filming, you'll probably know each other better." Qin Wanwan said, "Anyway, I envy you. You're able to be friends with such a big shot, it's really not bad." "Yeah, right, we're not that close either. We just have small talk." "You don't get it. This kinda big shot is hard to be acquainted with. They love being in their own circle, especially Gu Jingze. His family is also super rich. Haha, your rumor with Gu Jingze, is it really fake? Actually, you can tell me even if it's true. I won't tell anyone else." "Of course it's fake. You saw it yourself, we're only friends," Lin Che hurriedly said. Fine, go along now. Don't let Gu Jingze wait too long. Bring him out with you next time." "Okay." Lin Che said goodbye to Qin Wanwan. She went out and got into Gu Jingze's car. She told him the street name and then Gu Jingze said, "Why are you with her?" Lin Che replied, "We took part in the reality show together. She takes rather good care of me and I feel that she's really welcoming. I can't learn how to be that welcoming." Gu Jingze said speechlessly, "You seriously? With your IQ, you better not get too close to someone like that. You wouldn't even know if you got cheated." "Impossible. How can I get cheated? And can all of you stop saying my IQ is low?" Gu Jingze said, "There are people with the same perception as me. It looks like your IQ is really bad. Anyway, don't get too close to her." Gu Jingze frowned, "Seeing her makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't particularly like her." Lin Che retorted, "And I've never seen you liking anybody." Chapter 132. A simple, beautiful love. "I just like a retard like you." Gu Jingze turned and patted her head. "Ah, you are the retard. Your whole family is full of retards," Lin Che exclaimed in exasperation. They soon reached the destination. Gu Jingze dropped her off at the roadside and drove off. When she returned, Gu Jingze was waiting for her. He sat on the sofa with his feet up and his head bent down as he read a book. Seeing that Lin Che got back around 9, he got up and said, "How come you're back so early? I thought I would need to wait until after 10. Lin Che didn't say anything. It was all Gu Jingze's fault for dragging her home for no reason. "Nothing. The food wasn't so great, so I came back." "So you didn't eat?" "Yeah, I didn't have much an appetite." Gu Jingze thought for a while and then took up his coat. He said, "I'll go get the car and so we can go eat." "Ah, it's so late already." "Let's go." Gu Jingze walked over and was already tugging Lin Che along towards the door. Lin Che followed Gu Jingze and looked at him as she asked, "What are we eating?" "I don't really have any cravings." "Think about it. We can eat anything you want," Gu Jingze replied. Lin Che thought carefully, I feel like eating mala soup." "You probably won't eat it." "What?" Gu Jingze frowned, "What's that?" Lin Che said, "It's a kind of snack." Gu Jingze remarked, "Doesn't sound especially good." "Then forget it." Lin Che thought that he probably wouldn't eat that kind of thing. "We'll just grab anything." Gu Jingze looked at her deeply and then pulled her along. He said, "Let's go. Where can we find good mala soup? I want to try it too." Lin Che heard and happily replied, Okay. I know a place that's really good. I always went to that place when I studied. It's along the small food street near my school." Gu Jingze laughed and followed her out. They drove and quickly reached the small food street beside her school. From afar, they could already see groups of students gathered around. Lin Che said, "Isn't this place great? The moment you're here, you can feel yourself become young again." Gu Jingze looked on. The youthful atmosphere was indeed overwhelming. Gu Jingze parked the car nearby so that his men could follow them discreetly and not get too close. Otherwise, who knew what kind of commotion they could attract? The two of them got down the car and walked along the street. Lin Che said, "My school used to be near here. See, that's the theater school, that's University City, and over there are H University and Q University." They're all along this stretch of road, so it gets really busy here. Gu Jingze nodded. This street was not very clean, but it was lively. As they walked, they watched girls and boys chatting away, eating finger foods, holding hands, strolling, and laughing. It made people have unique feelings. Lin Che said, "You probably never experienced this when you studied abroad, right?" Gu Jingze said, "Yes, I was always running about in school. I didn't have a lot of time to walk about." Lin Che said, "The troubles of a philomath. Ah, I often skipped classes to go out for supper and forsook my nightly revisions." She quickly held her mouth and looked embarrassingly at Gu Jingze. "I mean, I skipped classes once in a while." Gu Jingze shook his head helplessly. "All right, you don't need to cover up. With a brain like yours, I figured you probably wouldn't absorb anything in class. What a waste of time." "Hey, it wasn't like that," Lin Che glared at him. Just then, a young couple walked past them. The girl was holding ice cream and looking adoringly at the boy. They were talking to each other as if it was just the two of them in the whole world, ignoring everyone else. Their hands were intertwined so tightly together. Gu Jingze could not help but look beside him. Lin Che's hand was swaying by her side and not staying still. Sometimes she walked fast and sometimes she walked slow. She was extremely casual. Gu Jingze touched her hand. His whole body moved slightly and he looked down. However, in the next moment, her hand moved positions again. Gu Jingze felt an urge to grab her hand, but he also felt shy. After all, their relationship was really weird. Warmth and tenderness did not seem to match them. However, Lin Che was still looking at something and chirping away at Gu Jingze as she explained to him all the different snacks. Gu Jingze attempted to grab her hand but failed. He did not dare to try a second time, so his face sank as he stared at Lin Che. Lin Che asked, "Hey, what's wrong? You don't like it here? We can always go somewhere else. This place is rather noisy." "It's not. Let's quickly find that shop you were talking about." Lin Che replied, "Oh, it's right in the front. Come on." As she spoke, she made a beeline for the shop. Just then, a car approached. Gu Jingze saw and quickly pulled Lin Che, who almost dashed forward. Lin Che was also shocked as she got pulled back by Gu Jingze into his arms. She watched the car drive past just inches away from her. She was almost knocked down by it just now. "Oh my, that was so close," Lin Che patted her chest. Gu Jingze frowned and looked at her. "Don't you know how to watch the road when you walk? Sooner or later, you're going to get into trouble if you walk like that on your own." "It's that car's problem. There are so many people here, why would they drive so fast? If you were knocked down, would there still be any use debating who was at fault? Come here and don't run around anymore. Be careful not to be hit," Gu Jingze said. He looked down and grabbed her hand, holding it in his palm tightly and tugging her forward. Lin Che was stunned. After they crossed the road, he still did not let go. He only changed the position and continued holding her. The two of them walked on together. Lin Che could not help but look down at his huge hand wrapping her small hand tightly until she almost could not see her own hand. The warmth of his palm was so prominent that it started to warm her heart too. She looked down and the corners of her lips curled up. Happiness slowly filled her eyes. Gu Jingze held her hand and continued walking. Then, he looked up and felt stares around him. He could not suppress the smile on his face that was like a spring breeze. The two of them walked forward step by step. It was as if the street had been so long in that moment and neither of them wanted this road to end. They only hoped that this road was endless so that they could keep holding hands as they walked forever. Passers-by were looking at them and seeing that the two of them were holding hands and walking. Gu Jingze was clearly old enough to be an adult, but he smiled like a little boy. The warmth emitting from them would trump any of those young lovers. It was so simple, pure and beautiful. Chapter 133, I Want You to Feed Me. After walking for what felt like an eternity, Gu Jingze asked, "Are we there yet?" Lin Che then suddenly realized that in the midst of walking beside him and looking at his smile, she had forgotten all about the mala soup. They already walked past it. "Oh no, we missed it. It's behind us," Lin Che said shyly. Gu Jingze said speechlessly, Of course, you would miss it. Where did your IQ go? It got eaten up by you." Humph, Lin Che glared at him and thought that it was all his fault. If he didn't hold her hand out of the blue, she wouldn't have lost her train of thought and missed it. Lin Che did not dare to look him in the eye and only said, okay, okay. Let's head back first. It's not too far away. Gu Jingze was still stubbornly holding her hand and Lin Che did not pry away either. They reached the mala soup stall which was filled with people. The majority of them were students. Lin Che immediately went to sit inside. She saw that the place did not change that much since the last time and felt nostalgic. She made Gu Jingze sit and wait for her there while she went to buy the mala soup. Standing there, she looked down at her own hand and thought about how they were holding hands just now. She smiled like an idiot. As she was waiting, she kept looking back at Gu Jingze. He was sitting upright and looking around. He looked so out of place like a perfect painting in the middle of a retro place. Just then, some young ladies at the side noticed Gu Jingze. Wow, that man there is so handsome. Too handsome. Is he from our school? I don't think so. He is dressed very maturely. Like a celebrity. I can't take it. I feel like I'm going to faint from just looking at him. Who wants to go over and say hi? I don't dare. You do it. Lin Che thought silently, girls these days. They don't have a single drop of self-restraint. But it was true that Gu Jingze caused a big reaction wherever he went. Looking back, that enchanter was still so oblivious as he sat there, quietly shining. Lin Che quickly took a number and hurriedly went in front of the young ladies and sat in front of Gu Jingze. She turned back and saw the disappointment on their faces when she sat down. She secretly felt proud. Gu Jingze noticed Lin Che was still smiling and he asked strangely, what are you smiling about? Oh, it's nothing. I'm just going to say that those young kids are really something. Gu Jingze looked at those young ladies and said, they're not that young. They're not that far off from your age, right? Lin Che said, I guess about 18 or 19. I'm already 23, okay. I'm considered old in their eyes. Sigh, it's so good to be young. Look at all those young flesh and young punks. They look so youthful. She forgot that the old one was sitting right in front of her. Gu Jingze's face darkened. He watched the group of students walk past before turning to her and asking, what's so good about being young? The older a man gets, the more valuable he is. Those young punks would never know how to treat a girl right. You can say that, but youth means endless possibilities, right? And fresh meat is always better. Lin Che did not notice that as she was saying all this, the man in front of her was becoming more visibly upset. Their mentality is not complete and they don't know how to make you happy. What's so good about that? They're young and strong. Haha. Time will be slow and their energy is limitless, Lin Che said and raised an eyebrow at Gu Jingze. Her words harbored a different meaning. As a man, Gu Jingze was also naturally sensitive towards this area. He finally understood what Lin Che meant. With a grave face, he looked at her, do you need me to prove to you that a mature man can also have limitless energy, and are more skillful, and that we know how to take care of a woman's feelings? Lin Che saw a threatening flash in Gu Jingze's eyes and realized that she had hurt his ego. She quickly laughed dryly, yes, yes, you're the best. You're the most handsome, richest, and gentlest of them all. Even though you may say bad things, are troublesome, difficult to please, and have many rules, you're actually pretty good. Quote. Did he really have that many flaws in her eyes? Just then, the mala soup finally arrived. The aroma wafted up Lin Che's nose and she immediately forgot about everything else. Ah, let's eat this mala soup. Gu Jingze looked at the oily stuff gathered together and lost his desire to eat it. However, Lin Che ate it as if it was so good. Her lips were plump and red from the spiciness. She looked good. She looked up and realized that Gu Jingze was only staring at her and not eating. She looked at the mala soup in front of him and said, you don't really want to eat it, do you? It's okay, I'll accompany you to eat something else later. No, I want to eat it, but I want you to feed me, Gu Jingze said. Huh. Lin Che stared at him and felt his gaze began to turn sinister. Gu Jingze said, it's okay, you can feed me as you eat. How do I feed you then? She asked with her mouth full. Gu Jingze suddenly moved across the table, held her face and bit her lip. When the tip of his tongue entered, Lin Che froze. He rolled out whatever was in her mouth, licked her lips, and then retreated. Ah, you, Lin Che's face was red. She could not tell if it was because of the spiciness or him. Gu Jingze realized that eating this way was more delicious. He licked his own lips and nodded. He said, very nice. Come on, let's continue. Quote. Lin Che objected, no more. Why are you like this? Gangster. No more. Gu Jingze had not eaten his fill yet. If you don't come, I'll feed you. As he spoke, he put some food in his mouth. It was very spicy, but he did not mind sharing it with her. He held her head still and kissed her. This time, he pushed the food from his mouth into hers. The spiciness hit both of them. It was lip-numbing and exciting, and it made them want more. Lin Che was really confused. I'm not eating. Gu Jingze, stop playing. But I'm not full yet. Gu Jingze continued feeding her. Lin Che's face was so red that she looked like she was burning up. She quickly pushed Gu Jingze away. Can't you eat properly? Stop doing this. Gu Jingze laughed and finally began eating on his own. He gained some appetite after poking fun at her for a while. He ate the mala soup as he looked at her. It did not look nice, but the taste was indeed not bad. It was probably because there was a lot of oil, so although it was unhealthy, it was very fragrant. They finally finished eating, but something happened to Gu Jingze. After he was done, his stomach started to hurt. He held his stomach area and rubbed it. Frowning, he said, my stomach doesn't feel well. Lin Che was shocked. Wow, are you serious? What happened? Let me see. Chapter 134, Hugging will do. Gu Jingze stopped Lin Che from going to him. He looked up and said, it's okay, it was probably just too spicy. Lin Che was naturally scared. If she brought him out to eat mala soup and ended up making the president of Gu Industries sick, she would be in big trouble. Even though Gu Jingze said that, she could tell that his face was becoming pale with pain. Lin Che hurriedly said, no, we need to go to the hospital. What if it's food poisoning or something? That will be too dangerous. Gu Jingze could not hide his discomfort and thought for a while before taking his phone out. Call Chen Yucheng. Oh right, he had his personal doctor. Lin Che quickly took the phone and called Chen Yucheng. President Gu, you've been ignoring me for a while. I thought you really fired me, Chen Yucheng answered. No, Dr. Chen, Gu Jingze is sick. Can you see? Ah, Miss Lin. Soon, Gu Jingze and Lin Che were at Chen Yucheng's place. Chen Yucheng examined Gu Jingze and looked at him. How strange. I thought you didn't like to eat spicy food. How come you ate mala soup and so much at that? Gu Jingze gave a silent, hard look at Chen Yucheng to shut him up. Chen Yucheng turned to look at Lin Che at the side and already knew that it must have been because of Lin Che. Still, he wanted to poke fun at Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze was never like this in the past. Ever since he got with Lin Che, he became much better to poke fun at. He was no longer the uninteresting and boring Gu Jingze. Lin Che heard and her face turned red. She felt so guilty. I'm sorry, Dr. Chen. It's all because I brought him to eat it. He actually doesn't like it. What do we do now? Is everything okay? Gu Jingze turned to her and said, it's not your fault. If he really didn't want to eat something, nobody could say anything to make him eat it. It was just that it tasted good when eating with her and he was in a great mood, so he ate it willingly. Now that his stomach was upset, he realized that it was not a good idea. Chen Yucheng said, it has nothing to do with you. His digestive system is just too fragile. You can relax, madam, it's just common gastroenteritis. He just needs to take medicine, rest, and also eat things that are easier to digest. Luckily, this is only the early stage. Otherwise, he might have ended up puking and having diarrhea. Lin Che's mouth twitched. How did he get gastroenteritis just from some mala soup? Lin Che said, I'm sorry, Gu Jingze. People like me grow up eating junk food so our digestive system adapts and become pretty much fearless. You were probably not used to it. Gu Jingze looked up. Forget it, it's okay. Chen Yucheng said, if you're still not well tomorrow, we'll do something else. I think it looks fine for now. Gu Jingze nodded and Lin Che quickly helped him up. She said to Chen Yucheng, sorry for the trouble this time, Dr. Chen. Gu Jingze replied, okay, he takes my money. There's no trouble. Chen Yucheng pouted, Madam is still the best. This Gu Jingze better learn from Lin Che to talk politely. Lin Che continued blaming herself as she looked at Gu Jingze's pale face. But his expression was still as silent as usual. She thought that he must be keeping himself from yelling in pain so that she would not blame herself. Gu Jingze, if you're in discomfort, you can let it out. You don't have to keep it all in, Lin Che said. Gu Jingze looked at her, I'm not in discomfort. Lin Che felt even more guilty and sorry. He was really such a good man. Soon, they arrived home. Gu Jingze laid on the bed and Lin Che ran to serve him tea and water. She was extremely attentive to him. Gu Jingze folded his arms and smiled as he watched her. It was rare to see this girl being so honest. Lin Che came in from outside again and looked at Gu Jingze. She asked, does it still hurt? Is the medicine working? Gu Jingze frowned slightly and said, my stomach still hurts. Ah, what shall I do? Lin Che asked anxiously. I should call and ask Dr. Chen or we should use the drip. No need, Gu Jingze halted her. You can just come over and rub my stomach. Huh, Lin Che asked. Will that be enough? But I don't know how to rub. Gu Jingze replied, just come over and rub it. Lin Che did not think of anything else. She walked over and sat beside him. Gu Jingze took her hand and put it on his abdomen. Lin Che hesitated and then began to rub. Does this still hurt? Her voice was now much gentler as if she was coddling a child. Gu Jingze enjoyed it so much as he crossed his arms and directed Lin Che, a little to the left. A little to the right. Yes, not bad. Lin Che rubbed and felt that something was not right. She looked up to see Gu Jingze's face. There was a pleasure on his face and his eyes were closed as if he was enjoying a massage. She immediately looked at him speechlessly, Gu Jingze. She almost wanted to hit his stomach but was scared that he still had not recovered. She half knelt on the bed and glared at him. Gu Jingze asked, what's wrong? Continue. Continue your ass. You lied to me. It looks like you aren't even hurt. Gu Jingze laughed and hugged her into his embrace. Are you the roundworm in my stomach? How do you know I'm not in pain anymore? Lin Che angrily hit him while still in his arms. What are you doing? Let go of me. Look at yourself. Do you look like you're still in pain? This Gu Jingze was really getting worse. He even knew how to lie. Gu Jingze hugged her waist and looked at her face. It hurts. It really does. Lin Che looked at his furrowed brows and really wanted to smoothen his forehead. Her voice softened as she said, then don't fool around. Gu Jingze replied, that's why I need you to distract me. Talk to me more, rub my belly, and let me hug you so that it might hurt less. Lin Che blushed a little. Why would hugging her make it not hurt anymore? She wasn't medicine. However, she continued letting him hug her and did not move for a long time. Gu Jingze hugged her soft body in his arms. On one hand, he felt that it did not hurt as much anymore, but on the other hand, there was a different kind of discomfort in his body. He wanted so badly to use another method and ease the pain. The next day, Gu Jingze woke up and felt that the pain was intolerable, so he went to Chen Yucheng's place. Chen Yucheng brought Gu Jingze and Lin Che to his clinic and asked someone to examine him with a machine. Lin Che waited outside and helplessly thought that there was no effect at all from hugging her the whole night. Just then, Lin Che heard her phone ring. It was Shen Yoren. She said in a fluster, Lin Che, I locked myself out of my house. My keys are in my room and I have nowhere to stay. Lin Che asked in shock, what happened? Where's auntie and uncle? They brought my sister to the countryside. Chapter 135. The call interrupted their conversation. Lin Che had no choice and said to her, you're not thinking properly. I'll go pick you and you can stay with me tonight. 5555, I didn't do it on purpose too. I'm so unlucky. It's all because of that Zhou Minan who was pestering me downstairs. Lin Che got the address and asked Chen Yucheng, what district is this? I need to go pick up a friend. Chen Yucheng said, Madam, you can just stay here and keep President Gu company. I'll help you pick your friend. Lin Che replied, you probably won't be able to find it. Isn't she that friend who was drunk at the bar last time? Chen Yucheng said plainly. Yes. I know where she is staying. As he spoke, Chen Yucheng took his keys and left. Lin Che then recalled that he had sent Shen Yoren home before. Inside, the nurse was examining Gu Jingze. She finished quickly and Lin Che asked, how is he? The nurse replied, we still need to wait for Dr. Chen to get back before we'll know. But from what I can see, it's gastroenteritis. It shouldn't be a big problem. Don't worry, madam. Lin Che said depressingly, how can gastroenteritis hurt for so long? I've never had that kind of pain. The nurse laughed and said, different bodies react differently. Madam's body may be perfectly fine, but maybe Mr. Gu's digestive system is weak to begin with. Lin Che looked at Gu Jingze guiltily, I won't let you eat junk food anymore. I forgot you never ate this kind of food too. You're always eating so healthy that you're definitely not used to it. Also, you're older now. You're going to be 30 soon, you. Gu Jingze immediately looked up when he heard her talking about how old he was. He looked at her intensely, what did you say? Lin Che continued, well, you are. You must admit your age. You're not a kid anymore who can recover quickly, so you need to be more cautious. This was the second time in a row she complained about his age. Gu Jingze stared hard at her. Lin Che soon realized that she had said too much again. Seriously, a man still cared about this? How petty. However, even if so, Lin Che decided to quickly shut her mouth. She laughed dryly. Luckily at this time, Gu Jingze's phone rang. Gu Jingze bent down to see the words on the screen and impatience flashed across his eyes. It was Mo Hilling. Mo Hilling had been locked at home for a few days now. Even though she was angry and helpless, she eventually thought through and understood many things. What her father said was right. Men did not like women who were too clingy. She did not have any competition last time, so Gu Jingze was nice to only her. Now, she could not be so stubborn. Mo Hilling thought that she was not worse off than Lin Che. Her family background was decent and wealthy, she was a rich lady. There was no way a stray cat like Lin Che could compare to her. Also, Lin Che was just a front. Gu Jingze may think that she was fine for now, but it was only because she was new. Lin Che had only been around for a short amount of time unlike herself. She had been with Gu Jingze for so many years so their feelings were definitely real. Lin Che could not compare to that. Thus, Mo Hilling promised her father that she knew what she should do. In any case, she would not implicate the Mo family again. Only then did her father let her out. Mo Hilling immediately thought about calling Gu Jingze. She could not contain herself after not being in contact with him for so many days. She felt that she had been abandoned. Gu Jingze picked up the phone and said, what's wrong? Mo Hilling heard Gu Jingze's voice and softened her own, Jingze, what are you doing? Gu Jingze said, I'm busy. Is there anything? Mo Hilling quickly said, nothing. The way you put it, it's as if I always have something up. I just wanted to apologize to you. Everything before was my fault and I got anxious. These few days, I was reflecting on myself at home and realized that I was acting like I was possessed. That's why I was so stubborn and immature. I won't be like that in the future. Gu Jingze sighed and said to Mo Hilling, as long as you know your mistakes. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Okay, you go ahead. Meet me when you're free. Gu Jingze hung up and looked at Lin Che. She was too nonsensical last time. Now, she's apologetic. Lin Che pretended not to hear. Otherwise, she did not know what to say. She was always so awkward when she talked. She never talked about anyone behind their backs. Anyway, this was between the two of them and it was up to them to handle it. Mo Hilling hung up and thought that Gu Jingze sounded lethargic. He did not seem like he was in a good mood. Did something happen? Mo Hilling asked people to find out. When Mo Hilling and Gu Jingze were still together, she knew a few connections. They know her special relationship with Gu Jingze, so they quickly told Mo Hilling that Gu Jingze went out to eat with Lin Che and had an upset stomach. Now, he had gastroenteritis and was receiving treatment at Dr. Chen's. Mo Hiling heard and almost threw her phone in a fit of anger. Lin Che. Lin Che again, she clenched her fists and tried to calm down. She could not be so rash again now. This matter definitely required a long-term strategy. She needed to go back to how she was like in Gu Jingze's eyes in the past. Now, she needed to bite the bullet and properly plan for her future. On the other side, Chen Yucheng finally returned. He walked in with Shen Yoren. She looked at Chen Yucheng take big strides while not caring about how she looked herself. She pouted and looked ahead. Hey, this is your home. It's huge. Chen Yucheng was speechless. He turned back and glanced over her. This is my clinic. Can you stay in a place like this? What kind of eyes did she have? Shen Yoren said, so be it. How was I supposed to know? Gu Jingze and Lin Che were inside. They heard the two talking as they came in from outside. Shen Yoren entered and saw Gu Jingze sitting there. Even though he had a drip on and looked indifferent, he still looked so bright and prominent, it was as if he was emitting light. She did not expect Gu Jingze to be there. Surprised, she exclaimed, ah, isn't this Gu? President Gu, I finally got to meet him live in person. Quote. Lin Che said, Shen Yoren. She said embarrassingly to Gu Jingze, this is my friend I was telling you about. Shen Yoren. Chen Yucheng stood behind and rolled his eyes. What an idiot, how was there such an idiotic woman on earth? However, Lin Che was also quite an idiot actually. Thinking about it, they weren't good friends for nothing. Shen Yoren was surprised for a while and then she got over it. She smiled and looked at Lin Che, thinking that it was very miraculous that the two of them were husband and wife. Lin Che pulled Shen Yoren and asked, what's wrong with you? How did you end up leaving your keys in your room? Shen Yoren replied, I didn't mean for it to happen. It's not like you don't know that jerk ex-boyfriend of mine who came to pester me for no reason. My parents brought my sister down to the countryside and I didn't want to tag along to get nagged. The culture there is bad. I'm only 23, but they're already urging me to get married. There's no way I'm going back there to hear them nag. But at that moment, Zhou Minnan came. I panicked and went downstairs to stop him. Otherwise, I don't know what my neighbors would think if they saw him. Who knew? Chapter 136. Look at the friends you make. Lin Che said, it's your own stupidity. Okay, why did he look you up again? When you were sleeping with him, he never really went to find you. Shen Yoren said, how would I know? I met him at the school's anniversary celebration the last time. After that, he would come and disturb me out of the blue. When Shen Yoren was with Zhou Minnan, they were considered childhood sweethearts. But halfway through, he slept with another female classmate during a school trip and Shen Yoren broke up with him. Shen Yoren went to study abroad after graduating and when she returned, he began to pester her again. Lin Che laughed and said, don't tell me he's regretting now. Even if he is, he still needs to see if I respond to him or not. I would have loved the attention back then but there's no way he deserves me now. Nobody wants a second-hand good. Exactly, we don't need something that's tainted. Quote. Sigh. The two sisters chatted happily away and completely forgot about the men behind them who were getting bored. Gu Jingze always wondered why Lin Che spoke so loudly. Now, he knew it had all to do with her social circle. Lin Che quickly turned and gave Shen Yoren a look to make her stop talking. Shen Yoren smiled cheekily and said, Mr. Gu, I'm Lin Che's good friend. Nice to meet you and sorry about that. Is Mr. Gu sick? Gu Jingze was rather polite to her and nodded, just a little accident. It's nothing serious. Shen Yoren heard and thought that he spoke so eloquently. She glanced sympathetically at Lin Che. Lin Che gave her a look that said, now you feel me. Shen Yoren asked, what exactly happened? Lin Che replied, gastroenteritis. Shen Yoren heard this and quickly said, ah, gastroenteritis. When I got it last time, my mother definitely made me eat some lotus roots with ginger all smashed and cooked together. It's especially useful and I got well after eating that. At the side, Chen Yucheng heard her and interrupted Shen Yoren. She asked, which medical school did you graduate from? Who told you to eat some lotus roots? Shen Yoren retorted, what's wrong? It's effective for me. You're lucky that you didn't die, but please don't mislead others, okay? From the test results just now, the white blood cell level is very high and the ketone level is also very high. He needs to consume plenty of water to flush out the ketones, and he also needs to reduce the inflammation. What lotus roots are you talking about? Shen Yoren replied, what? You can't dismiss folk recipes just because you're a doctor. These recipes have been passed down for years. A westernized person would not understand. You think you have the right to judge our ancestors' wisdom? Ha, I think that's all rubbish. What do you know? I don't know what you know. But just because the information was passed down many years does not mean that they are right. Women used to bind their feet in the past. Why aren't you binding your feet now? Chen Yucheng's expression was uncultured and scary. He glared at Shen Yoren. Shen Yoren looked at him with conviction. What about the wheelbarrow or the lotus pose? These positions date back a few hundred years and I don't see you complaining about them. Quote ellipsis quote. Sigh. Chen Yucheng's face was dark and he stood completely still there. Gu Jingze clenched his fist and cleared his throat. He said, Dr. Chen, I need to rest. Miss Shen must also be tired from her busy afternoon. Why don't you take her back to your place and let her rest? Chen Yucheng then came around and hurriedly said to Gu Jingze, why should she go back to my place? Gu Jingze replied, she has stayed there once already and she's more familiar there. Just let her stay with you. But, Dr. Chen, what other excuses do you have? Gu Jingze smiled slightly at him, but his eyes were full of threat. Chen Yucheng was bitter inside. However, Gu Jingze was the boss. Chen Yucheng could only glance hatefully at Shen Yoren. Shen Yoren didn't care. She enjoyed watching him suffer. When he wasn't happy, she was happy. Who asked Chen Yucheng to be so detestable? President Gu, you are too kind. Heh. Lin Che must be very blissful to be with you. She finally said something that Gu Jingze would love to hear. Chen Yucheng glanced at her again and could only say, let's go. Don't loiter around here anymore. Shen Yoren smiled cheekily at Lin Che, take care of your hubby. We'll talk again when he's better. Lin Che looked at her helplessly and said to her, please be nicer to Dr. Chen. Shen Yoren squinted her eyes and left. Watching the two of them leave, Lin Che turned and smiled, to think that Dr. Chen would have moments where he can't win an argument. I thought psychologists would be experts in this area. Gu Jingze shook his head, all right, now your friend is fine too. Be humble and stop fooling around. Lin Che saw that Gu Jingze was still in pain, so she sat obediently beside him. After taking the drip, Gu Jingze was finally a lot better. He was able to resume work the next day. Lin Che was at the company busy preparing for a new show. The new TV series was a modern drama. It was a little more deep with slapstick humor in an urban plot. It was going to be very popular. The female lead was a forensic doctor who just joined the police force. She was learning from a superior, became his disciple, and eventually developed feelings for him. A popular new actor was playing the role of a superior with a poisonous tongue. Although this drama had not begun filming, it was already becoming famous. It was not easy for Yu Minmin to get her the script. She felt that the character was not so fragile and suited her image now. Lin Che was discussing the script and filming, but halfway through, she suddenly thought of Gu Jingze's illness. She could not contain herself and went out to call Gu Jingze. When the call got through, Gu Jingze was in a meeting. He picked up the phone but was not even angry. He only asked, what's wrong? Did something happen? Lin Che said, nothing happened. I just wanted to ask you if you're feeling better. How's work? Gu Jingze sighed with relief. He said, I'm fine. I'm a lot better. Oh, am I disturbing you? You better go do your work. You're not. Why, are you concerned about me? Gu Jingze sounded relaxed. It made Lin Che feel much more relaxed too. Of course, I'm concerned about you. You got sick because of me, to begin with. Gu Jingze snorted but continued to talk to her. Oh right, I was going to tell you that I have a banquet tonight and you're coming along with me. You should go get ready. Chapter 137, Taking You into the Limelight. Lin Che asked curiously, what banquet is it? Gu Jingze said, just an internal charity banquet. I need to bring a female partner along. Lin Che replied, then take your female partner along. I have a wife. Why would I need a female partner? Lin Che laughed, alright. Then, I'll go with you. On the outside, it was as if she was being forced, but she was actually happy about it. To attend a banquet with Gu Jingze. She had never done that before. Soon after, the caretaker called and told Lin Che that she would be picked up to change her clothes and tidy up so that it would be more convenient for her to attend the banquet. In the evening, Gu Jingze arrived early and was in Lin Che's private makeup studio. As the makeup artist was a top-skilled professional, there usually was a lot of people. Yu Minmin even wanted to bring Lin Che here to get her makeup done for the award ceremony, but there was a long line. Today, because of Gu Jingze, Lin Che had the whole studio to herself. The makeup artist did not know Gu Jingze's relation to Lin Che, but she abided her work ethic and did not ask. She did not involve herself with the gossip outside either and was very courteous to Lin Che. When Gu Jingze arrived, she was extra cautious. They were not afraid of gossip. Whoever dared to gossip about Gu Jingze would be asking for a death wish. Gu Jingze saw that Lin Che was all ready as she turned around. She was dressed in red, which somehow did not look flirtatious on her. Instead, it was so refreshing, like a flower blooming after the rain. She looked so pure and clean. The makeup artist at the side remarked, Miss Lin is very pretty and her skin is good. Out of all the people I've done makeup for, Miss Lin's skin is the best. Lin Che turned back and smiled shyly. She lifted her skirt and looked at Gu Jingze. How do I look? Good. Gu Jingze smiled and nodded. I guess you do the dress justice. Lin Che pouted. She just knew that he wouldn't say nice things. Couldn't he talk nicely? Gu Jingze tugged Lin Che and said, let's go. In the car, Lin Che asked Gu Jingze, is the banquet this time huge? Why did you invite me? Will it be okay? It will be okay. Everybody is bringing a female partner, so nobody will ask about our relationship. The banquet is quite huge. It's an annual charity banquet. Oh, but I don't think I've ever been to any banquets with you before, Lin Che asked with curiosity. Gu Jingze said naturally, of course. I usually let my employees attend these banquets on my behalf. I don't normally attend them. Really, but I thought it would be like in a TV show. Capitalists like you would be going around banquets and whatnot. There would be lots of entertaining to do. Gu Jingze replied, you're talking about capitalists in small companies. That is why one must climb right up to the top. Otherwise, you'll face other people forever. Quote. Did he mean that with his position now, he didn't need to face other people and entertain them anymore? Gu Jingze was really praising himself with every opportunity he got. Lin Che looked at Gu Jingze speechlessly, but at the front, the chauffeur had already stopped the car in front of the entrance of a 7-star hotel. Lin Che followed Gu Jingze down the car. Looking ahead, there was already a crowd gathering toward them and welcoming them. President Gu is here. A big welcome for President Gu. President Gu, please come in. Tagging along, Lin Che had also begun to invite a lot of attention. Nobody dared to ask who she was, but they saw Gu Jingze holding her hand as they entered. Lin Che's dress was exquisite. It was wine red and flowed to the floor. It looked graceful, generous and extremely elegant. People at the back were talking, look. That's Gu Jingze. We don't even see him once a year. That's because he keeps a very low profile. People hear of his legacy, but never see him. Who's that beside him? It must be his female partner. She looks familiar, like some celebrity. Everybody looked sourly at the lady beside Gu Jingze. As the two of them entered, a line of people traced behind and sighed in exclamation. Indeed, wherever Gu Jingze went, he certainly was the talking point. But wasn't he rumored to be with the daughter of the Mo family? How come the girl is different? But nobody has seen Gu Jingze bring her out before. A few people were debating, oblivious that Mo Hilling was sitting at the back. She held her cup with hatred. She had already heard that Gu Jingze was planning to attend this banquet. It was understandable because this banquet was held annually and it was the biggest charity banquet. Gu Jingze would definitely attend this banquet and make some donations. However, Mo Hilling did not expect Gu Jingze to bring Lin Che with him. What they said was right. Gu Jingze rarely took Mo Hilling out on public occasions. That was because Gu Jingze liked to keep a low profile. So out of the three brothers, he was the only one who had never been exposed properly. Of course, Mo Hilling wanted to go out with him, but she was worried that Gu Jingze would think that she wanted to expose him. Thus, she controlled her thoughts, never fulfilling her wish. Now, Gu Jingze actually brought Lin Che here. Mo Hilling gritted her teeth as she watched them go in. Her eyes moved. Lin Che and Gu Jingze sat on the good seats on the upper level. They could see the entire hall while those below were unable to spot them. It was Lin Che's first time at a banquet like this. She immediately whipped out her phone. I'm going to try taking a photo. Heh. Gu Jingze looked at her speechlessly. You would take a selfie with anything. Lin Che retorted, it's a rare chance. When I put this on my Weibo, my fans will think very highly of me since I got to attend a banquet like this. Ah, I didn't bring my selfie stick. Help me take a picture. Gu Jingze looked even more speechlessly at Lin Che. You. Was she now so capable that she was no longer scared of him? From taking selfies herself to asking him to help take pictures now. Lin Che looked pitifully at Gu Jingze. Help me, please. You just need to press a button. Gu Jingze had no other choice. Luckily, no one saw them. Otherwise, if someone saw him helping take a selfie, that would be something. He took the phone and glared at Lin Che. With a snap, he took a few shots of her. Lin Che took back her phone and looked at the shots in dismay. She asked, Gu Jingze, have you never taken photos before? See, you need to include the entire hall below in the background. Your shot makes me look like I'm drinking in some shady hotel bar. Nobody can tell that it's a classy banquet at all. Thus, he took photos of her again, but it was still unsatisfactory. Gu Jingze, I have to hand it to you. Where's your sense of beauty? Sense of beauty, why do I look so distorted? Chapter 138. How could you harm Gu Jingze like this? Gu Jingze, do you have something against me? The more photos you take, the uglier I get. Lin Che took her phone and looked speechlessly at the black-faced Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze, I finally discovered that you actually have a flaw too. Gu Jingze glared at her and almost jumped up. What did you say? Lin Che said, you see. What are you taking, Mr. Gu? I feel like you have absolutely no photography skill at all. Sigh, but I can empathize with you. No man is perfect after all. Lin Che continued, I guess I'll do it myself. As she said this, she positioned herself and took a selfie to show Gu Jingze, you see, this is called a selfie. Now look at your shots. Gu Jingze took a look and looked at Lin Che speechlessly, isn't this too unrealistic? That's you. Lin Che exclaimed, as long as I look good. Gu Jingze really could not imagine it. Lin Che said, what? Do you expect me to post some ugly picture? That wouldn't be good. Of course, I want my fans to see nice pictures. I'm thinking for them. Gu Jingze was already powerless and could only shake his head. Lin Che retorted, you don't understand. I don't want to understand either. Lin Che chuckled and looked at Gu Jingze. She pulled him over and said, come. Let's take one with the beauty filter and one without. Try it and you'll know. I don't want. I won't take no for answer. Lin Che pulled him over and tilted her head slightly towards him so that both of them could fit in the frame. Lin Che said, 1, 2, 3, say cheese. Snap. The image of the two of them was locked in the phone screen. After adding the beauty filter, Lin Che showed it to Gu Jingze, see. Doesn't this look very nice? Gu Jingze raised his brow, when people look good, they'll look good in any photo. Lin Che said, wow, see this. The folds on your skin were all smoothened away. Your skin looks so tender. Lin Che, she was minding his age again. Lin Che saw that Gu Jingze's face became dark again. She burst out laughing and said, why are you being like this? You need to have the right attitude to face your age. Quote. Lin Che stepped over and said, okay, okay. Don't be angry, I was just saying that your face looks a lot younger than people your age. She was still talking about his age. I'm serious. Enough, don't say any more. You might just drive me mad. Gu Jingze thought that trying to argue with her would only drive him mad. What could she say with that IQ? However, looking at the picture of them close together, they looked rather matching. Gu Jingze said, send this to me. Ah, you want it? But what do you want it for? Lin Che asked. Gu Jingze said, I don't have a photo of you. If you go missing one day, I can use this photo for the missing person poster. Quote. Lin Che looked at Gu Jingze speechlessly but still sent him the photo. Gu Jingze received the picture, looked at it, and saved it in his phone. The charity auction soon started. Lin Che posted the picture of herself on her Weibo and then watched the auction with Gu Jingze. Watching the items go for a starting price of tens of millions, Lin Che was stunned. After a while, Gu Jingze turned and asked her, is there anything you want? Lin Che turned to him, I can't afford it. Gu Jingze smiled and said, it would make me happier if you thought like that for everything. Lin Che said, am I not being considerate enough for you? See, I've already humbled myself a lot. Gu Jingze could not stop himself from rolling his eyes. He completely could not tell. He only felt that she was getting more brazen and taking him for granted. Lin Che watched for a long time before getting up to go to the washroom. The outside was covered in luxury. It was Lin Che's first time attending a high society event like this. She could not help but look around. She felt as if there was too much for her eyes. She entered the washroom and saw that it looked very prestigious. She could not help but sigh in exclamation. This place was indeed for the high class. She washed her hands and touched up her makeup. When she walked out, she heard a high voice call, Lin Che. It was Mo Hilling. Lin Che turned around and saw Mo Hilling dressed in a pastel pink dress. She strutted over in her heels and her nose was turned up so high that her nostrils looked like they were almost facing the sky. She tilted her head at Lin Che and the corners of her lips curled slightly. Why? Is this your first time here? Quote. Lin Che's smile fell. She looked at Mo Hilling and said, yes, it's my first time. She was honest and did not think that it was something to be shameful about. Everybody knew it was her first time anyway. There was no point in lying. Mo Hilling smiled and said, right, Jingze should bring you around more. Otherwise, if you attended a Gu family gathering like this, they'd be shocked. Although this is not as dignified as a Gu family banquet, this is still our C country's biggest annual charity gala. Lin Che could hear the mocking tone in her voice. She smiled plainly at her, thanks for telling me, Miss Mo. Of course, you don't know anything after all. Oh, right, I think I saw you post a photo of this place on your public Weibo. Mo Hilling saw the picture and was so angry that she wanted to find Lin Che. This Lin Che was so obnoxious for taking pictures on her first time here. Even though it was just a picture of herself, the fact that she was acting like she was a high profile was revolting. That seat should have been hers. Everything that Lin Che had was supposed to be hers. Lin Che frowned and looked at Mo Hilling, what's wrong? Mo Hilling's face was serious. She was all high and mighty, full of blame and anger like a headmistress. Lin Che, never mind if you want to be famous, pretentious and show off. But you need to know that Jingze loves keeping a low profile. He doesn't like to show off. Can you please keep your thoughts in check? Even if you want to show off, you should think of Jingze too. Where can he put his face if you behave like this? Lin Che looked speechlessly at Mo Hilling, what do you mean? Gu Jingze was right there watching her post on her Weibo and he never said anything. Yet, she was here by herself warning her. Mo Hilling said, do I need to make it clearer to you? Lin Che, you should know that given your status, you don't match to Jingze. So maybe you don't know how someone in a high society should live. If you don't know, you can come and ask me. For Jingze's sake, I will begrudgingly tell you about his habits and his life. But can you not behave so recklessly yourself? Chapter 139. This was shining with pride. Lin Che looked at Mo Hilling absurdly. She felt very speechless after being talked down with so much hatred. Gu Jingze is aware of my Weibo posts. I believe that if he had any issues, he would have reminded me. I don't need you to do that. Regarding what you said, you're right. I do not know how people live in a high society, but I have never believed that living in a high society was a good thing. I'm used to how I live and I will never change anything about myself for Gu Jingze. I believe that as long as I'm honest and sincere, I will be respected no matter what kind of society I'm in. You, quote. Mo Hilling never expected this Lin Che to be so good at talking back. Mo Hilling scoffed, the more one lies lowly, the more justified one would feel to acting in such a manner. Lin Che laughed coldly and then heard someone coming from behind. Gu Jingze entered and saw Mo Hilling there. Hilling. Gu Jingze walked briskly and went to Lin Che's side. He pulled her to stand by him as he moved silently in front of her. As if intentionally, he put Lin Che safely behind him. Mo Hilling saw Gu Jingze and immediately changed her face. Jingze, you're here at the gala too. Gu Jingze looked at Lin Che and seemed to be checking if she was safe and sound. But Lin Che only looked unhappy. It seemed like nothing major happened. Gu Jingze looked toward Mo Hilling. Yes, I have to come once a year. Mo Hilling said, me too. My mom and dad are both here. They're outside. Oh, then shouldn't you be with them? What are you doing here? Mo Hilling quickly smiled and wanted to go over to him. However, she stood there and kept herself reserved. Her father was right. A woman must be reserved. She had to keep a distance and not clamor all over him. Mo Hilling said, I came to the washroom and bumped into Lin Che, so I talked with her for a while. Gu Jingze said, oh. Yes, I had to bring a female partner this time. Mo Hilling bit her lip. Yes, that was his wife. But that was supposed to be her position. Mo Hilling tolerated it and smiled warmly at Gu Jingze, really? I see that Lin Che is all dolled up nicely today. Oh right, Lin Che. You're an actress. My dad wants to find someone to act in his advertisement. Your image is actually very good. You can consider taking up our advertisement if possible. Our home appliance brand is the national bestseller. When the time comes, the advertisement will be played everywhere. I know the endorsement fee is not so attractive to people like you, but you must see the influential power. Our advertisements are rather influential. Lin Che did not listen to her. She would rather save the effort and trouble. Lin Che thought that Mo Hilling might as well be an actress herself since her acting skills were so good. Why was she needed? However, Lin Che still smiled and said, that is up to our company to arrange. I can't make decisions for myself. Mo Hilling looked at Gu Jingze. Jingze, I have no other motive. I just wanted to say that I'm serious about changing regardless of whatever misunderstandings there were previously. I hope you guys will give me a chance. You can take this like I'm making up for it. Gu Jingze looked deeply at Mo Hilling and stared into her eyes. He said, Hilling, it's right that you can think this way. It's all right, as long as you don't act so stubborn and be more mature instead, you're fine. Mo Hilling said, then can you let Lin Che take up our advertisement? I'll take it like your forgiveness for my past childishness. Lin Che looked at Gu Jingze with objection in her eyes. There was no way she would film it. If a job couldn't make her happy, she would rather be tied to a leash. This was obviously not going to make her happy. Instead, it would make her furious. Also, who knows what kind of motive Mo Hilling would have. She was not going to walk into a trap. Gu Jingze looked at Lin Che, then turned to Mo Hilling and said, I don't want to force her to take up any job. It is entirely up to her. Mo Hilling could only laugh dryly, is that so? Anyway, Lin Che, you can think about it. Lin Che let out a breath of relief and said, I will consider it. Mo Hilling still wanted to talk to him, but she could only look at Gu Jingze and tolerate it. She said to Gu Jingze, you can go back to the auction. I'm heading back too. Okay. Watching Mo Hilling walk away obediently, Gu Jingze slowly turned around. Lin Che glanced and said, what exactly is up with her? Seriously. She walked away so easily. Lin Che was still not used to that. Gu Jingze replied, maybe she really reflected on herself back at home. I have warned her that she was being too stubborn. She is already over the age of being stubborn, she should have been more mature, but she just couldn't. Perhaps it's because I have been too relaxed with her in the past and never cared a lot about her ways. Oh, Lin Che said. Gu Jingze continued, she's actually not a bad person. It's just that she doesn't know any better. If she's willing to improve this time, I'm also willing to give her this chance to encourage and motivate her. Lin Che laughed dryly, you're right. Whatever she did was because of you in the first place. Lin Che quietly thought, she was the woman he liked, so even if they were angry, things were definitely going to be alright once he coddled her. She would rather not interfere in whatever went on between them. She did not intend to seek her own suffering. Gu Jingze looked at Lin Che. No matter what the reason was, it's not right to cause a nuisance like that. Even standing in the same spot as her, many people will choose to handle it in a different way, unlike her. I know that she went overboard in some areas. Lin Che replied, you really are a serious person. But, she looked at Gu Jingze, well, will the Weibo post that I published tonight affect you? She knew that Mo Hilling was targeting her. However, after thinking about what Mo Hilling said, she felt uncomfortable. What Mo Hilling said was actually not wrong. She and Gu Jingze were from two different worlds. She indeed did not know what she should or should not do usually. Gu Jingze looked at Lin Che, Weibo. The one that you posted today? Yes, if I'm doing something wrong, you don't have to indulge me. You can tell me directly, Lin Che spoke seriously. Gu Jingze said, it's alright. Nothing happened after you posted either. What's wrong? Lin Che said, oh, I thought I wasn't supposed to. Miss Mo said you prefer to keep a low profile. I was worried that I did something bad that might affect you. Mo Hilling said that. Gu Jingze frowned again. He thought that there was nothing forbidden about posting on Weibo. And he did like keeping a low profile, but not to the point of being that harsh. It was just that he didn't like being in the limelight usually. But strangely enough, he enjoyed being in the limelight with Lin Che and seeing her shine with pride. Chapter 140. You can do whatever you like. Perhaps it was because she had always been like this and had never avoided this hypocrisy, so it didn't seem that hypocritical. Gu Jingze knew that her so-called hypocrisy was not hypocritical at all. He knew that she was pure at heart and candidly silly. She was not being superficially materialistic. Thus, Gu Jingze didn't hate it. He even liked seeing her play around like that. Gu Jingze said, all these things don't matter. Lin Che looked at Gu Jingze, if it really matters, you must tell me. I honestly don't know a lot about these things. I don't know what you guys can or cannot do. Lin Che did blame herself sometimes too. She felt that she was Gu Jingze's wife, but he was the one who was always helping her. She had not done anything to help him. Instead, she kept causing trouble for him. Because she didn't know how she could help Gu Jingze either. She had no family support, no power, and knew nothing about business. From the moment she entered theater school, she aimed to be a qualified actor. She loved to watch Judy act in The Silent Lamb. Judy Foster won 2 Oscars and had always been her idol. Besides being a qualified actor, what she desired the most was to be an outstanding actor. However, all these were completely different from Gu Jingze's life. Lin Che tilted her head slightly and looked at Gu Jingze. Sorry, Gu Jingze. I actually haven't helped you before and even caused trouble for you. But I really don't know much about these things. If you need me to do anything, you have to tell me. She did not want to be the one dragging her legs. Gu Jingze gazed at Lin Che's apologetic face and said, I don't need you to do anything, Lin Che. And I don't want you to be some prissy princess or live like a rich man's wife. This is my life and it is also yours. As long as you feel comfortable, that's all that matters. You don't have to change anything for me. But I don't want to cause trouble for you and I don't want to drag you down either, Lin Che said. Gu Jingze smiled faintly, a man must support and provide for a woman. Don't worry, your troubles are not a big deal to me. Even if you mess up more, it's not going to trouble me that much. The Gu family worked hard over the years to be at the top. If I crumbled just like that, wouldn't that be a waste of effort? If I can't even support my woman, what's the meaning of having all this power and money? Lin Che looked at Gu Jingze and was touched by his magnanimity and comforting words. Gu Jingze helped up Lin Che's arm. I'm not standing at the top to see my woman sacrifice for me. So you can do whatever you like. You don't need to care about what others think. Lin Che was really at a loss for words. Gu Jingze tugged Lin Che, let's go and see what you might like. We didn't come here to get nothing. We have to contribute a little to this charity gala. Lin Che heard this and became interested. She tugged at Gu Jingze and said, so whatever I want will be mine. Of course. The purpose of bringing a female partner today is to buy her gifts. How nice. Heh. Then I'll get the more expensive one. Alright, it's only been a short while and you're already getting money-minded again. Of course. You have too much money to spend, so I'm helping you with it. Fine. You can spend it. Although she said that, Lin Che honestly didn't dare to ask for expensive things. Seeing that the bracelet was considered cheap, she thought for a long time before finally deciding to bid for it. Meanwhile, Mo Hilling heard Gu Jingze was starting to bid for items and she looked up at the upper deck. There was a VIP room where you could see everything below but nobody could see from the outside. Since Gu Jingze was here, he definitely must have been sitting inside to avoid any disturbance. Hearing Gu Jingze bid, many others put their bidding cards down. Gu Jingze very easily secured his bid for the item he wanted. Mo Hilling sat there and overheard some people talking. Gu Jingze brought a female partner this time. It looks like he is buying all these things for his partner. I think the lady he brought is an actress. Her name is Lin Che. Gu Jingze is now good at this. Outsiders did not know anything about the Gu family. They did not know about Gu Jingze's illness and only knew he kept to a low profile. He was not lustful either and nobody ever had any gossip about him. Now that he brought a female partner with him, people were beginning to get nosy. Someone at the side said, this Lin Che doesn't look bad. Gu Jingze has good taste. Mo Hilling finally couldn't take it and said aloud, what do you mean she doesn't look bad? I think she looks very average and she's only an actress. Her acting skills are very bad. People turned to look at her. Someone said firmly, Miss Mo, you can't say that. Her acting skills are not bad. I work in the entertainment industry so I know that she has rather good reviews. Mo Hilling simply could not stand to hear anything good about Lin Che. She already lost control and was staring hatefully at people. Then, she got up and walked out. Lin Che was good looking. Whoever wore such valuable clothing would obviously look good. It was all because Gu Jingze was rich, so she was able to dress up. When she saw Lin Che at the beginning, she knew that Lin Che could look as shabby as she wanted to be. Mo Hilling thought with hatred that she was going to snatch back everything that should have been hers. She was going to snatch back the man who was supposed to be hers. When the time came, she would make Lin Che go far away and live her life in misery. When the gala ended, Gu Jingze left with Lin Che. Lin Che turned back and took one last look at the place. She said to Gu Jingze, this place is so huge. Ah, who knows when I'll be able to come here again. Gu Jingze said, I can always bring you here if you want. Forget it, you're too busy. We'll come again when there's a chance. I was just saying for fun. Gu Jingze replied, I heard that the beds here are super soft. They are imported from France. Want to give it a try? Get lost. The two of them returned home. After a whole night in high heels, Lin Che was exhausted. She quickly took a shower and went to rest. When Gu Jingze got home, he received a call from Mo Hilling. He answered, Hilling. Mo Hilling asked, are you home? I'm home. I bid for a tie clip today. It's especially for you, Mo Hilling said. Gu Jingze replied, I don't think it's a good idea to give that to me. It'll be better if you gave it to your father. Mo Hilling immediately asked sadly, why? Now, you won't even accept my gift to you. I have no other intention. I just wanted to give you something as a friend and it's just a little something. It's not expensive. Although she said that it wasn't expensive, it actually cost her 2 million.